This is the planning board meeting of Tuesday, June 3rd. We have a quorum. Tonight, Dick and Jennifer will stand in as full members, hearing all cases and voting on all matters. And we have a quorum, so is there a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our first matter will not be heard. This was Steinberg, 92 Random Farms Drive. Apparently it's been taken off the agenda this evening. So we may or may not hear it again, but it will not be heard this evening. So we move to our first item. This is Lifschultz, 132 Old Roaring Brook Road. This is an application for a site development plan and approval to convert an existing garage attic into an accessory apartment. This is a public hearing. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Someone here representing the applicant?
Yeah,
Here you are, yep.
Gabriel Payne, I'm the architect for Bessie and Lowell Lifschultz. And it's a application for a secondary dwelling at their home at 132 Roaring Brook Road. They would like to, they're sort of anticipating, as they get older, they want to stay in town, and they want to be able to have someone live in and potentially care for them as they get older. So there's this space above the garage, which is currently, rough framing, unfinished, sort of attic space, and we're going to change that into a little studio apartment. And we're putting a shed dormer on this side just to increase the ceiling height to make it, sort of a nice livable space. And then putting a private entrance back here with the existing stairs to be worked up to the dwelling level. And this is the existing house. I don't know why I showed this exactly. That's the side yard next to this existing garage. The rear yard, and this is again the garage with the private entrance here for the existing apartment. And just approach here, one of the comments make sure that the sight lines are good. Obviously, it's an active driveway, there's no any accidents or anything, but we do have a note on the drawings that says that this will be clear to make sure that there's proper visibility for anyone coming in and out of the driveway. Approach to the garage, we have proper parking for whoever will be living there. And that's really about it. Well, this is this survey. This shows the proposed work here. Showing on the drawing that this should be satisfaction of the building department for this particular occupancy once it's completed, and a small studio apartment. And we've received a letter, permission letter from Westchester Department of Health to put this in without expanding the current septic system. Simply by sort of removing the bedroom in the main house. That's the entry, private entrance, and this is the new shed dormer on the side, which of course provides adequate ceiling space inside the apartment. Looking through, showing the new shed dormer. And that's just the color of the metal, the metal standing seam roof of the shed dormer. So that's about it. Are there any questions or I can address?
Well, we'll take memos from our staff who have reviewed this. So Sabrina, do you have any, you got some thoughts?
Sure. It is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Everything is zoning compliant. The only thing that is not is the property is smaller than the 2 acre zone that it sits in. That's due to a change in the zoning, so it is a pre-existing non-conforming lot size. This application meets with the building and the development coverage, so there's no concerns there. The proposal for the accessory apartment is 592 square feet, so it complies with the town code requirement. They did demonstrate adequate parking, and I have no objection to the board asking for a draft resolution.
Okay, great. Jeff, you had some thoughts, comments?
If you don't mind, and Dennis go first, I'm just trying to.
Sure. Did you have thoughts on this, Ken, Dennis?
Yeah, I didn't generate a memo because I was just sort of reviewing the project site, I'll call it, but I'll say that I was impressed with the property, that they do appreciate mature trees and a very nice landscaping, so whatever needs to be done, shame on you engineers for the line of sight. If that involves the removal of trees, I would just ask that they get a tree removal permit to do that. That's about it.
Perhaps they can just, lift
Trim them back.
the trees up and,
Limit them up.
Yeah, there's no, and we weren't intending to remove any trees, it's really a matter of pruning, just to clear that sight line a little bit more. And again, it's an active driveway, people come and go, and gardeners and, the owners, of course, without any issues, but it was a good comment to clear that bit and make it, look visible.
okay, good.
Everyone's good, thank you.
Yep, so as much as you tried to entice Dennis with the picture of a weeping hemlock, he's not gonna take the bait. Okay, Jeff?
Sorry about that. Yeah, just a couple of minor comments. They did have the no objection letter. I think we asked a minor comment on the location and the size of the water line, just to show it to
Oh, that's
sort of
great, yeah.
And then prior to certificate of compliance, we would recommend just a letter certifying that those trees have been maintained to
The sidelines?
the sightlines. That's all.
I guess one of the other issues, not a major issue at all, of course, is that, it's one thing to limb them up, it's another thing just to make sure that they're maintained that, in that manner, so that the sight lines are maintained in the future. So we can just include that in the resolution, seems to me, and then we're all set. Any questions, comments from board members?
I got one.
Sure.
I think it's great that they're trying to add more housing to the town, because we need more housing, so I appreciate your applicants doing this. I do have one concern, Jeff, and maybe you can help me out. So the plan is to take the number 5 bedroom offline, use that capacity for a new apartment. The number 5 bedroom is very small, theoretically a kid is living in the number 5 bedroom. So we're taking that out and we're putting in an apartment that has theoretically an adult, maybe 2 adults, maybe a dog and a kitchen. So my question is, the capacity that we're opening up by eliminating the 1 bedroom in the primary house, is that capacity going to cover all the potential load we're putting in with this apartment? And have they run calculations on the existing field to see if it can really handle a 6-bedroom house instead of a 5? And as a follow-up, has the house been operating as a 5-bedroom house, and do we know the field can handle a 5-bedroom house? Or for the past 20 years, has it been operating as a 3-bedroom house? And who knows if the field can really take these loads?
Well, I mean, it was vetted by the Westchester Department of Health, and it was, they're elderly couples, so the children have left, so it's just the 2 of them at the moment. But it had been, they've lived there for many years, and I can't remember the date exactly, but they lived there for many years, bringing up their children and so forth. And that little bedroom, is not a bedroom, really, it's just because it has a door, it could be used as a bedroom, so we're opening it up to sort of preclude the use of it as a bedroom.
So you're really not saying anything to support your argument? Saying that the field hasn't really been used in 30 years. I understand that Westchester gave you a letter. I'm asking, do we know if the field works? So we don't have a failure next year when it's rented out and somebody's living there and all of a sudden the field starts to fail and it starts to go into the neighbors.
Right.
I think it's a fair question.
I did not submit this, I guess, or maybe I did submit it to the owner, I can't remember, but I submitted it to the Worcester Department of Health certification of that the field has been maintained and it's been working operation and so forth. So that was a very recent, whatever, getting someone out there to look at it in the last year or two.
So my question then to the staff, just because Westchester County said okay, logically to me, the one bedroom takeaway doesn't give you the capacity for an apartment, and do they know that? Or is it just some guy who's rubber stamping? I wanna make sure
I
that
don't-
we don't have an issue
We
in a year.
do not regulate septic systems, septic use. That is Westchester County, which is why we require the no objection from Westchester County. In order for him to obtain that no objection, he had to submit plans and details regarding the septic system. Town code requires a maintenance of that septic system in order to receive a building permit. So it has been maintained, and if it hasn't,
What's the code maintenance for the town? I mean, is it just you have to clean it out every 2 to 3 years?
Up every 5 years.
you have to have an inspection and
But the
take
town-
action every 3 years.
I know that, but the town doesn't really go to the person's house and check.
We will start.
Fair enough, okay.
As
We
a,
are required to ensure that private property owners are maintaining their septic systems.
Because I think this is a great idea, and I hope more people in the town do it. And as more people start to do it, I just wanna make sure we're not setting up fields to start to struggle.
Correct.
Because I think that the town needs this type of housing.
But, of course, there's gonna be a caretaker, but obviously, eventually, it's gonna be a, an apartment someone rents and it's affordable, which is so hard to find around here, so, yeah. All of that we discussed as well.
I think a corollary question, and I think Jeff can help us with this, is also to give us some assurance, how do we make sure that the bedroom is really taken out offline?
That is a
So Jeff,
building
can you give
inspector.
us that information that the building department customarily looks at and enforces?
Yeah, so obviously, the addition of a new bedroom or this accessory apartment bedroom is predicated on the removal of the existing bedroom. Part of the process, and this is really governed by the building permit process, so when it goes to the building department, there's gonna have to be changes made to the interior configuration to preclude it from being used as a bedroom. So it would be removal of closet, it would be removal of the entire doorway and creating an opening rather than just taking the door out that you can easily put back in. So
What a wider opening to
Yeah, the frame goes away and there's a wide 5-foot opening.
So ultimately, it's the building inspector is who is the judge of, that it's a bedroom or not a bedroom, and those are generally what Mr.
Well, we
DePaul
expected it, no doubt, and actually, we had it at 4 feet, but the Worcester's partner all said, no, it has to be 5 foot openings, to sort of to preclude it being a bedroom.
And my concern is not the applicant going back and making it a bedroom again. My concern is that it's working, it's thriving, and the field fails.
Which will be inspected anymore, so.
So Westchester County governs this, so if, they saw the plans, they see the removal of one bedroom, and ultimately how septic systems are sized are on numbers of bedrooms. It doesn't matter if it's a 70 square foot bedroom or if it's a 200 square foot bedroom.
Understand?
It's just the number of bedrooms, and they assume there's gonna be 2 people living in it, and there's a load of gray water and sewer water generation from each bedroom. That's what they assume based on 2 people. So ultimately, the size of the bedroom, having a 70 square foot bedroom, a small one, just means the septic field was oversized for what was there.
Now, is there gonna be a laundry in the garage addition?
No, and in fact, well, one of the stipulations, which to be honest, I don't quite understand, was that we don't have a full operating stove, that we just have a cooktop. And don't ask me the logic of that, because I don't know, but that's what we're showing, to sort of satisfy the Western Department of Health requirements.
But I think Greg's question was whether or not there was gonna be a full laundry, that is a
Oh,
washer.
yes, I know that, but then I also mentioned that, I mentioned
Okay.
that I said,
So
I send my piece.
no requirement.
okay,
How old is the house?
No, yeah, I'm
Say 80 to 100.
Honestly, I would say
Let's say it's post World War II, 19,
Okay.
1932 maybe, or somebody said something around.
30s or 40s it looks like?
Yeah, 30s, I think, yeah.
Do they have a program to, make sure that the piping going to the septic isn't clogging up? And have to go through a lot of stuff, and if they're only doing it, you know, let's say every 5 years, that's gonna be I think an issue. You know, cause it's a lot of people just pour grease down their the bottom of the sink. And the sink is covered and it's a problem. And some piping is on the other side, you know, that the piping is just old. And I have a little sense of it because the house that we live in is 80 years old, and we're not having any major problems because we're on top of most. But that should be, you know, everything that they do to make a house work is something that should be put down. It's peanuts, but might help.
Okay,
Well, and we could obviously make sure that it's operational upon, obtaining the CLO, that everything is operating for our septic system is concerned. And I can't imagine that, I don't know the date of when the septic system was put in, but likely later in the house or be done for that. Because there was an addition done a while, at some point along the way that increased septic also.
any other questions from board members? No. Any questions from the public on this application? No, not seeing any. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're all set on that. I think at this point, we've got the information and a couple of minor points that they have to take care of, but I think we're in position to ask the staff to draw up a resolution for approval for the next time we meet, one of the July meetings. Is there a motion to so instruct staff to prepare a resolution?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Alrighty.
Would I attend that meeting, or is that just a formality to sign it?
I would not ever attend one of these meetings. It's just fantastic. It's not necessary. It's not necessary.
Attend remotely, of course, right?
Yes, exactly, yes.
Now I
It's
see
really not
why-
necessary.
Now I see why he's way away.
Yes, yes. Okay, our next item is Meredith, 14 Wolf's Hill Road, an application for a preliminary subdivision plat approval for the merger of two tax lots into one, pursuant to a ZBA variance.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Jacqueline Cohen, Associated Law Firm Zarin Steinmetz, here tonight on behalf of the owners, Chris and Laurel Meredith, the owners of 14 Wolf's Hill Road. So this is an application for a lot merger. They own both lots. The two lots have been historically treated as one. Functionally, they both serve the single family use that's been on the property since about 1828. So on lot 38, which is the lot on the right, is where the single family house as well as the related improvements are. And then that lot 37 is, the only improvement is a portion of the owner's driveway. Other than that, it's vacant. And as you can see, it's also pretty heavily burdened with wetlands and wetland buffer areas, which limits development on that site. So they've also been treated as two lots for assessment purposes, administratively. And so now the need for the legal merger came about recently throughout the permitting process for a proposed reconstruction of a barn on their property. They required variances for development coverage, FAR, as well as setback. And the ZBA granted the variances at the end of April. They treated this entire lot as one, so that the calculations for FAR and development coverage would be based on the total merged lot versus just the lot 38, and made it a condition of approval that they would seek free subdivision approval from your board. So now we're here tonight on that to complete that step. And so we are seeking a waiver from your board for the re-subdivision, your jurisdiction over the re-subdivision. As you know, the town code does permit your board to waive its jurisdiction where you determine that the proposed re-subdivision would be consistent with the requirements of subdivision design, it's not significant in terms of the development impact, and will not hinder or preclude the proper use of either the instant property or the surrounding sites. And so we do believe that the proposal fits the criteria here. It's a rather minor application, and just given the surrounding circumstances, we do not think that a full subdivision review is necessary. And so I understand we're also on for a public hearing tonight,
Which I'll get around to opening soon.
yes. So happy to answer any questions that you may have, otherwise happy to answer any questions or comments of the public.
Okay. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everything she says in the record. Oh boy, sorry. Subdivision design, any idea how you ever got a lot that looks like this?
No, so I know that the lot predates the subdivision laws. This house has been around since the early 19th century. So it is oddly shaped, and I don't know exactly the reason, just olds, meets and bounds.
It just must have
Descriptions.
followed a cow or something. It seems
Something, yeah,
incredible.
follow the cow to the that rock over there, and then take a left towards the stream.
It's not the same family for 200 years though, is it?
No.
That'd be impressive.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Sabrina, do you have your comments?
I really don't have a lot of comments. As you know, it came from the zoning board as a referral to your, not a referral, but a requirement to satisfy their resolution of approval. It is a type 2 action. One of the comments I had was that the zoning conformance table where you have asked for the variances, make sure you footnote the variances that you received so that it's all in one place. Building coverage, it is within the allowable building coverage. The development coverage variance they received will be accurate once the subdivision line disappears. Again, the variance should be reflected on the conformance table. Other than that, I don't have any other comments.
Okay, great. Jeff, you had some comments?
No, there was no comments on this.
Okay. Dennis, did you have any comments? Okay. Any questions, comments from board members?
No.
Good. Any questions or comments from the public on this application?
What?
Does anyone in the audience wanna say it?
Yeah, I think behind the scenes we had some comments anyway. Not seeing any, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to move forward to instruct staff to put together drop a resolution for next time around?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
There's a separate motion, I guess, in terms of waiving jurisdiction here, and it seems to me that this is a very straightforward one. This is an appropriate time to waive that jurisdiction here. There's no need, I don't think, to come back for a final plat, it's very straightforward here. Any
Motion?
Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
So that's Jeff's voice sound.
Yes, that's Jeff.
Yeah, I'm here.
That's the weirdest shape
I know,
I've ever seen. And it's old, so why would it be like that? And it's old.
It could be the cow and the stream and.
Okay, we move now to our next item. This is the public hearing on 11 Kittle Road, the Kittle House. This is an application for a site development plan approval, tree removal permit, steep slopes permit for renovations. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Brett Schwartz from Darren Steinmetz. We're pleased to be here for the public hearing. My opening remarks are gonna be very simple and short. I'm gonna turn the floor over to Scott Grace, who'd like to make some opening remarks before then turning it over to Ken to walk the board and the public through the site plan.
Okay.
Good evening. I will try to be brief, not as brief as my wife had asked me to be, but I'll I'll do my best. Good evening, Chairman Kirkwood, members of the board, Director of Planning Sabrina Charney Hull, Town Engineers Gasper and Cioli, Environmental Coordinator Dennis Corelli, and Board Secretary Felicia Casano. Thank you so much for your continued time and attention to our matters at 11 Kittle Road. I feel like it's been an interesting journey, and we really appreciate the attention and diligence which this group has all put in. It's been an incredible 9 months since our purchase. Our family, the staff, our project partners have worked their tails off to fulfill our simple mission. Ensure that the Kittle House as a safe and comfortable and go-to asset for the entire community. We believe this can only be accomplished by carefully rebuilding the structure in a way that respects its original character and architectural integrity, while also bringing it up to modern building codes and accessibility standards. For sure, we have lots more work to do. So as a result, and after careful consideration and planning, we have taken the difficult decision to shut for the summer beginning June 23rd, with plans to reopen after Labor Day. We are very grateful to our neighbors, friends, and customers, some here today, for their continued support as we rebuild and refresh this amazing local institution. We promise to continue to be transparent in all aspects, all questions, and with all constituents. Our family is truly committed to the long-term success of the project. We cherish Kittle's significant historical and cultural value to Newcastle. But it's much more than a financial resource commitment. It's literally the love and pride I see every day, mainly from Christy and Jackson and the staff, that is the real driver of the future success of this project. We thank you again for your time and consideration. I'll turn it over to Ken, and that's it.
Thank you, Scott.
You can raise that,
Sure.
or it tilts.
Sorry.
You can take it off and hold it.
Yeah, that might be too many
Well, I think
things.
it's John and Jay Leno thing.
Good evening, board members. Thank you very much for hearing us tonight. I know it's been a lot of shuffling around to help us with our schedule. I'm just gonna bring the public through again what our initial presentation was. If you can see on the screen right now, that's the existing conditions of the Kittle House. The top of the screen is the back facing Mount Kisco Country Club. Bottom of the screen is the entrance. You can see the driveway coming in. If we go to the next one.
Which driveway, the upper one?
Well, sorry, Mr. Bruno, go back. The driveway, that is the one that comes off Kittle Road at the bottom.
There.
Okay,
You can, and then you could also see at the lower, or the upper right is the Annandale access over there. And then that patchy grass at the top of the screen is the existing septic system. And then there's an fire access road that goes sort of down in the lower area. Thank you very much, Greg.
garbage area?
Garbage areas, currently you could see the two cans in the left side of the parking lot. Yeah, right there, yeah. That's where they are. We go to the next slide. This is sort of just a drone shot of the back. If you note, to the upper left is Amy's Garden. It's an existing outdoor dining area. There are cocktail hours there for events that have been going on for many years. You can see the glass atrium below. That's one of the areas we're proposing to remodel and remove. It's in great disrepair. Doesn't very function well as an entertaining banquet space. It's long and narrow, so we're taking that same similar square footage and making a more rectangular usable space. It'll be a little taller, but still one story. And it will necessitate not needing that tent, which you could see right in front of the gazebo. So we won't have that permanent tent anymore. The other improvements are internal structural improvements as far as renovating the spaces. A lot of the spaces have been gutted to the studs inside. They're really upgrading all the systems, the safety, fire suppression, and the kitchen is a brand new kitchen with all new equipment. The other external improvements are gonna be more safe parking. We're rearranging some of the parking, but there is gonna be more parking than what is there currently. There's gonna be some landscape lighting, and there's gonna be a lot of planting for the trees that we have to remove for some of the improvements. There's a new water main, a new fire water main, and we're also one more thing on the outside. It was the garbage was gonna be sort of relocated in another corner to allow better access for a fire access road to go around the back. If you go to the next slide. It's just a different view. Keep going. This is a rendering, if you will, of the proposed changes. Most of the parking changes for better parking are in the front. So we wanted to provide better access and safer access of parking close to the front door, so everyone doesn't have to come up around the side or the back of the parking area.
You remove the spaces along the front drive.
Yes, that was what I was trying, yeah, we have removed all the parking that was historically along the Kittle Road Drive, which is the main entrance. It was problematic for access when everyone was parked there, and we think it also makes a much nicer entry for guests approaching when there's no cars everywhere, and it will help at least the immediate neighbors who are affected by that.
One thing, for the cars exiting on the southern approach, or leaving that way.
On Annandale, you mean?
No, it's just, no, it would actually be, I like going out Kittle Drive and have a better sight line for vehicles. And you mentioned that it's probably not too busy, but actually when I drove by, it is busy. And it's Wednesday and Saturday, is that it? Or Tuesday and Saturday? So, right now.
Oh.
So it's functioning now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. There are still events happening. They're open for dinners. Is it Friday?
Friday, Saturday dinner, and then we didn't wanna cancel any of the events that had been booked before we took over.
And one thing that I noted over the last week or two is that when you come out the way you went in towards the south, that this is the first time I've seen some hedging knocked down so you could see whether the cars coming out, you know, have a view from the ones coming from the drive, Kittle, just Kittle.
Yes, we did, when they first purchased the property, there was a lot of it was non-regulated maintenance.
Yeah.
But we cut down a lot of the shrubs and stuff just to open up that area, and it just looked messy, so it was mostly an eyesore thing. But it will help when we plant the woodland plantings and the screening trees that are going in that wooded area between Kittle House and the front of Kittle Road and the front of Kittle House.
That's good.
No, thank you.
I would think also removal of those cars on the drive is also a safety improvement.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's very irregular parking, so that would be,
Yeah, there was
especially in
no-
winter, you know, people
Yes.
sliding around, so I think it's a nice improvement.
Yeah, nobody, there was no lines, the winter was a problem, so yeah, I think in general, it's a good step forward.
But there is another way, I mean, we have the right answer, but when you have events, then the cars are all over the place, all the way up to it, the end of that road, and
Right, and they're not gonna be there now, so,
Good.
yeah.
No.
So if we go to the next slide. This is just the same rendering of the back, you can see the addition now, from the air coming out. Same green lawn is gonna remain there for outdoor ceremonies, for weddings and events. And on Amy's Garden, we are adding a pergola and terrace for having, you know, outdoor dining and some fire pits for spillover from the bar, which is right off of that room there. If we keep going. This is just an opposite view. We keep going. Here's sort of Amy's Garden from the front parking lot. We're gonna improve the planting a little bit. and that's the proposed pergola. We could go one more. This is the dining area that's gonna be in that area, which is actually over the wine storage room, which is below. If we go one more, it's just a nighttime scene.
Will you have a removable ceiling on that pergola or one that tilts and opens and closes?
Yeah, what it are, where the front part is here, where the fire pits are, is open all the time, but in the back part, that you're able to have louvers that open and close and can be waterproof in rain. Keep going. This is the addition in the back, which is accessible from the lower level dining area. Internally in the lower level, I'm sure you've all been there was a lot of columns. We removed a row of columns and replaced it with steel, so it's more open below, and then it opens up to this taller space now, which would be nicer for events. Keep going. This is just from the lawn looking at that addition. Can go more. This is the original 1997 site plan that was from the last resolution on this. We just have this in there as a base. We can go to the site plan. Keep going to the colored rendering one. Then there's a this is this one. So as part of
The one before there, that one shows the changes, doesn't it?
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to the one with the bubble. Sometimes it's hard with the laptop scrolling.
And which one?
The one that showed the red bubbles. This this is.
That's got the last changes you made.
Yeah, so the last changes we made, essentially there were some trees in that larger circle, larger bubbled vision area in the corner of the parking. We used to have cars parked in there and the retaining wall cut into the landscape more. And we're removing a large number of large caliper trees, so Dennis brought it to our attention. He asked if we could try to save that and a few others in the back. We were able to save that and have less parking. We were able to shift the parking to other areas, so we are able to save 3 large caliper trees there. There was on the lower.
That doesn't appear, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah. And then in the opposite kitty corner from that other curved or revisioned area, there were some trees down there that we were trying to save, but the fire access road had to be pushed out because of the parking improvements. So because of the grading, we couldn't really save. There was one tree in that area, so but there are proposed replacement trees. You can see them rendered there.
Is that grading that you're referring
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
result
right.
of this parking here? So it's
Correct.
to kind of level it out so it's not so severe?
Yes, we leveled it out and we also shifted it so it's like a double-sided parking. Currently, it's a mishmash of parking back there.
Yes.
So this will be easier, but we had to pull the access lane for the fire lane over more, so it created some challenges with grading. You can see there's a touch of the wetland buffer, which we're fully outside of the wetland buffer, so there's no wetland permit needed on this project. And you can see the front, we added some on the drive to Kittle Road. We've added some landscape trees, and the courtyard and the entry has been made smaller with impervious surface, but it's really been improved with plantings around it.
How is your evaluation of the piping in this place? Has it been attacked or?
It's terrible. We
right.
replaced all of it.
Replaced all of it? Okay,
Yes.
that's excellent.
Yeah, sorry. No, there.
If I had said that, you would have yelled.
I know, I'm sorry. I had to be honest, cause it's mostly replaced now.
Okay,
But yes, we did come across some surprises.
so you should set a program that every 50 years
Yeah,
it's done
no.
again.
Oh, yeah. But yes, it's a full gut renovation of all the internal spaces. All the
Okay.
bathrooms are gonna be new, accessible, much better.
You
Yeah,
should
all
rehearse more.
Yeah, all records except the bottom.
Sorry. And of course, there's a for engineering departments is a full stormwater system that's been put into place for the additionals for impervious. I probably said too much.
Is this your, once you're through us, you ready to start construction in 2 weeks?
Yes, we have a building permit set into the town. We're awaiting
And is 10 weeks optimistic or is 10 weeks realistic to get it all done?
we're gonna get a lot done in 10
Okay.
weeks. We're gonna get
I mean, I hope you get it done in 9, I'm just,
You know, a lot of that atrium downstairs will be later, but the key element, the kitchen, getting it up
To get up and running.
Getting the staff back.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of disruptive stuff that has to happen, that's gonna happen in this period of time.
you're breaking all the eggs.
Yes.
One quick question, Dennis, is, you've referred to this wetland area, is this the wetland area that, that you discovered and that we're gonna have staked in the field, et cetera, down here in the north east corner?
Yes, that was the water course that we were
Right.
sort of determining, and yeah, that one met the definition, so it was easy to find, so they did, go out and survey it, and it was funny, cause from just you doing GIS measurements, I was like, it's gonna be close, I wasn't convinced that their project as overlaid was gonna be within that, but I just wanted it obviously, for record purposes.
Sure. Okay, great, thank you.
I think it is a condition of permit
Oh, yeah.
issuance, then yeah, we
More on that later on, I think Dennis and the staff will be talking about the stuff that needs to be done.
but that's all I have.
Okay, very good, any questions? Who's next?
That's all, I mean, Rob from JMC is here if you'd like to hear briefly about the stormwater, but we're also happy just to turn it over to public comment.
Well, we'd love to hear about stormwater, but
Has
Do you wanna hear about
anything changed,
stormwater?
has anything changed from last stormwater conversation?
Why don't you get 30 seconds on stormwater?
Sure, 30 seconds. It's fascinating, but I mean, and it's totally redone, actually, I mean, we shouldn't really shortchange it because you've done a lot of work on it.
Good evening, yes, Rob Aiello from JMC. So the stormwater system includes a retention system on the northern side and an infiltration system on the southern side. So we did redesign the stormwater system based on comments from the engineering department, and that was discussed at the last meeting and provided in this submission, but we do have additional calculations and substantiations that will be provided to the engineering department going forward, all the items in their memoranda. But we do have the ability to address each of those comments, and the resulting stormwater after the construction of the SWIP will result in a reduction in peak rates and volumes at all design points.
So no increase in runoff off-site, no impact on neighbors.
Yes.
Brad, you need to use the microphone.
Gotcha.
Is that short enough?
Thank you.
Thank you, good, thank you. Anyone else on your team? Okay. Sabrina, do you wanna run through your comments?
Sure, most of my comments have been addressed. Let's see. Again, type 2 action, the building coverage is conforming, the development coverage exceeds what is allowed within a residential neighborhood, but it has always been excessive. It is approximately a 23.1% increase in coverage. The parking, at your last meeting, you
On the coverage increase.
Yep.
Is there any particular area that we are looking at where we're seeing that increase of 7,500, almost 7,600 square feet? Is it just across the board everywhere?
It's across the board,
Okay,
little
good,
bits here
okay.
and there, the
Again,
widening of the parking
The
lot.
impact is
et
spread
cetera.
out, so it's not concentrated in any one area.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Parking, at your direction, the parking spaces, the total amount of parking spaces was reduced to 118. There are both standard and non-standard size parking spaces. We have conditioned within the regulation or within the resolution to identify those on the plans so that we know the areas where those undersized spaces are. Your board has the ability to approve of those undersized spaces as long as they're no less than 16 feet in depth.
And are they all the valet spaces, the underside?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
That's why we need them to identify them.
Okay. I think the intention is that
They-
those extra
They
40,
are.
I think it is, are supposed to be valet.
Correct, yeah.
I think that
Those are
needs to be
lower
called
level
out.
areas.
Yeah, I think actually start calling it overflow, why don't we call them valet parking spaces?
Sure,
Does
we
that
can-
make more
we can
sense
do
and then it's easier for us to track?
This go around, we did receive a photogrammetric lighting plan. There is no off-site lighting. There was concern that we had discussed this morning that making sure there is enough lighting for safety, particularly in the dark parking areas.
Yeah.
So to encourage that, if you need to add a couple more lights for safety, please do so. And then there's some notes that need to be incorporated onto the site plan. And other than that, we drafted a resolution if you're so inclined to review it and look at it.
Yeah, the photometric study was I thought exceptionally good, very thorough. But to Sabrina's point, there was some concern as to the adequacy for safety issues in some of the parking areas, especially in the back of the building. So it seems to us that you have room, we don't mandate these sorts of things, we really look at making sure that there's not too much lighting and there's overflow, but there is I mean there's an issue here, we think that they might have too little in some areas. I mean, there's some areas of that parking area, there's just no lighting whatsoever for the valets or other folks. So that could be a real safety issue. So I think you have,
Yeah, we're happy.
you have some room in there.
We're happy to put more lighting.
Exactly, I mean, downward lighting, and again, as long as you keep the spillage on site, I think you'll be fine.
Do the lights turn off at a certain hour?
Yes.
Good evening, board. Jeff Scherer, landscape architect for Grand Oak Architects, representing Kittle House for the record. So we were trying to be sensitive to the neighbors for lighting. So there are a couple of dark areas, but our intent isn't to add any full lights. So maybe we add some garden path lights and go around, but I believe it's like 0.2 is the standard for parking lots, so we'll take a look at that. There's also some motion lights and safety floodlighting, but
And I think
we didn't wanna.
you kept the Kelvin at 2700, right?
Correct.
So we're okay there?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
That is all.
Okay. Dennis, you had some comments?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just, for completeness, I just started the memo by saying, because I know I brought up the annoying math of 120.16 and the 4 trees, so they added actually 4 trees, and it just so happens that they meet the classification of those canopy trees. So now, all the math in accordance with 121.6 certainly works out. They added the herbivory protection details as well, so that's something I recommend and hopefully they take advantage of. So then, getting off the exit ramp to the Planning Board Expressway, I changed the memorandum to basically just resemble what would be, resolution of conditions. Not to read through all of them, the only one that I point out is I just need a resubmittal for the record of that sheet L200, the tree removal plan, because we didn't get it this time around, and that's the one that just goes over all the mathematics about the replacement. So I just, want that for the record and to be consistent with how we do it, in accordance with 121.6. But other than that, obviously everything's laid out here, which is translated to the resolution that you have, that, things that would need to be satisfied before, obviously, shovels could, hit the ground and they actually receive their permits. So, we're around and to do those pre-inspections as soon as you're ready to, have those occur. That's my comments, Chairman, for tonight.
Right, okay. There are other issues that Dennis has included in there, again, it's a menu, it's a listing of the things that are required, so we really don't have any discretion, or the building department doesn't. So I would just ask the applicant, just really become familiar with these things and you know, we've leaned over and worked with you guys very carefully and closely and quickly to get this through, so I would hope that you would not walk into the building department and start leaning all over the building department saying, I want an exception to these things. You've got to do these things. So they're here, they're listed, we're very serious about them, they have to be done, so you know, I'm sorry about performance bonding and all those kinds of things, but it's something that's required under our code.
Understood.
Jeff, you have your memo, some items, some comments?
Yes, there's still about 40 or so plus engineering comments, mostly related to stormwater. That being said, I don't believe it should significantly alter the layout of the stormwater system. You know, there are a couple of things that are outstanding that, you know, may we have looking for a letter of no objection from the Department of Health. There's some conditions that we're suggesting in the resolution that that may still, you know, I would just caution, I guess, the board that if the resolution is approved, if anything changes significantly, they'll be back in front of the board for revisions to this approved site plan.
Okay. Have you guys had a chance to look at the notes from the engineer, today's? If you got them before we got them.
Yes, we have reviewed each and every one of them, and through work that we've been doing since our last meeting, and you know, what we need to do based on the new memo, we're confident we can address each.
Are there any issues or questions that you wanna raise with Jeff now, or any problems, issues?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it is supplying additional documentation, really, like I said, I don't.
And so for the most part, you're okay with conditioning these in the resolution?
Yeah,
These are not showstoppers?
Correct, I don't think there's anything that's going to significantly alter the site plan.
Okay, great. Okay, any comments from board members? Okay, yep, okay. Comments from the public? I will say that we have received an overwhelming number of letters of support for the application, which is terrific. We have those, they're in the record, and if you feel compelled to read it, whether it's iambic pentameter or with gusto, you can, but we really do have them in the record. So there's really no need to do that. But if you wish to, or if there are other points you want to be heard on something, by all means, this is a public hearing, so we take it seriously. Yes, sir.
Good evening, thank you to the board for allowing me to speak. My name is Seth Kiles, my wife Dana and I live at 539 Bedford Road, which on that map is to the right side. We've been living there since 2005 and had a really nice relationship with John Crabtree. Certainly when we heard that the Kittle House was being sold, we were concerned that this would go in a different direction. And we did hear from some other people that made presentations that they were gonna be taking it over, they were gonna make it into an event space. Obviously that didn't go through. Subsequently, the Graces came forward and they are friends of friends. I did not know Scott or Christy prior. But I will tell you that I've had many meetings with both of them and they've been nothing but stand up. They've told us on several occasions that they were gonna be doing certain things, and as far as I can tell, they've followed through on all of them. So I am very pleased that they are taking over, because obviously, as your letters will show you, it's an important community-based restaurant, inn and bar. And certainly as their neighbor, it was important for us that it went into the right hands, so I just wanted to stand up and say, I appreciate that they've taken over, and I've been to a couple of these meetings now, and I'm impressed by their candor and their professionalism, and I look forward to being their neighbor in the future.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Is there a motion, seeing no other comments, is there a motion to close the public hearing? Second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. So we have a draft resolution before us. We have not, I don't know, if your team, have you looked at it, Brad? Are you familiar with it?
So first of all, thank you, Felicia, Sabrina, whoever drafted this. We were very pleasantly surprised to receive this late this afternoon. So we did quickly review it out beforehand and we're good.
That means there's something hidden here.
We're good.
I really feel like I'm on the set of My Cousin Vinny.
Damn, what should we have put in there?
Okay, good.
I have not had a chance to read.
We haven't had a chance, so I think what we really need to do as a board, we really have to go through this. So Sabrina, if you could lead us.
I can
In
actually
prayer
put
here,
it on the
go through
screen
this.
if you stop sharing. I can give you real time.
Yep, thank you.
It's not what's on my screen. What? It's not on here. It does, hang on, let's do it again. I'm a pro, let's just take a breath.
Can't AI just review it for us when we're done? Next room, somebody?
That's weird. Okay. Let's try the PDF. Really?
Sabrina, I think we could also try.
Do you wanna do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you have preference for Word or PDF?
I was just gonna make changes, I'll make changes on my end. Assuming they're not okay with it. Okay, I can walk you through.
Okay.
So this is a standard resolution. The first whereas clause describes what was received. The application package, it talks about the renovation in the second whereas clause, interior renovations, expansion of building footprint, reconfiguration of access driveway, walkways and parking. It talks about the fact that the Kittle House is considered a pre-existing non-conforming use in the our residential 1 acre single family zone, and it has been determined that the project will have no negative impact on the area. The application includes a request for approval for a tree removal permit in accordance with chapter 121. It includes a request for approval of construction as regulated activity within regulated steep slope area in accordance with chapter 108. The application also includes a request for approval of the stormwater pollution prevention plan as a regulated activity under chapter 108A. At the
Sabrina,
bottom,
can I go back to
Yes.
the tree issue,
Yeah.
John? Do we need to put something in that whereas clause? You know, we made an earlier determination that this was a continuing tree application, fields, there's some sort of language that we should put in there to make sure that there's no challenge to it or issue with it. Because it was not, I don't think we considered this to be a brand new tree application, but really a continuation of the original one that was filed with Dennis last year. I don't know what that language might be, but I think it would be worth including.
Why not do this? Hang on a minute. Includes a request for the planning board approval of a continuing tree removal permit.
Yep, continue or continued, yeah.
I'm gonna track changes on this document.
Yep.
Just a second. Continuing tree removal permit. Do we need to say continuing tree removal permit from whatever date, Dennis?
That's probably a good idea, it's like it's an October date in 2024.
October 24.
From October 2024 pursuant to.
Sabrina, we think October 15,
I can get
please you can book it.
We can just say October 2024 is fine. It's pursuant to chapter 121. Okay, good. Alright, moving on, just the bottom of page 1 is a list of what the application materials consisted of, and that's everything that they submitted with that initial submission. And then the next section of whereas is really about the correspondence that was received from staff, from the county, from the New York State Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation Office and Westchester County. And then on the bottom of page 2 is a list of the most recent set of plans that you are approving as part of this action, and there's several pages of that, and it goes to page 4, where we then start getting into the good stuff.
And at this point, before we start getting into the good stuff, do we list all the letters that we received from the public?
We do not, not at this point.
Not in the resolution.
No,
Later on?
we typically don't, what we do say, and we can add in here, I don't think it's in here now, a public hearing was held, whereas we received overwhelming support from the neighborhood. Did you write that?
Oh, not overwhelming,
Yeah.
the public hearing.
Yeah, the public hearing's in there, we can add that language.
Okay, great.
We're not there yet. The first whereas clause after the list of revised plans deals with the reference to the coverage schedule on Plan L101 and talks about the building and development coverage, so we're memorializing what it is under this application. And then noting that you evaluated the proposed total site disturbance, the amount of clearing and the amount of tree removal on the basis of what they are representing the coverage to be. Okay, and this is important because it's an opportunity to memorialize the coverages on the site, which has not been done previously. And then we further talk about the building coverage in relation to the maximum allowable, and then we have again the 23.1% increase in development coverage, which explains where that comes from. Consistent with your last site plan approval, in the middle of page 4 on line 41, that whereas clause is really giving you the retention of your jurisdiction over parking in particularly. If there's ever an issue with parking on the site, you are retaining your approval authority to require them to formalize those overflow parking spaces. And there's a specific time frame within which they need to do that if there is a future problem. Okay, and that is a note that goes on the site plan. It has been carried through since the previous approvals on this property. The next, on line 46, this whereas clause deals with that parking. It talks about the code requirement for parking, 1 space for every 3 seats, or 75 for each 75 square feet of gross floor area.
Is that gross floor area the interior dining use area, not counting the kitchen and, you know,
I
service
think
areas?
it's the gross floor area, so
Gross.
it's
Sorry,
gross.
Okay.
It's gross. So ultimately, the floor area demanded more parking than number of seats. The bullets break it up, 5,817 square feet requires 78 spaces, and this on the lower level is 402 square feet greater than previously. So it's not a huge amount that's adding parking spaces. On the first floor, it was 4,954 square feet, which is actually 1,032 square feet less than exists today. That requires 66 parking spaces. There are currently 14 guest rooms. In accordance with the approval previously, there were 12 guest rooms, 2 of which were for residents who worked at the facility and were not counted as part of the parking numbers. This applicant is counting all 14 rooms as part of the parking requirement.
You're okay with that, Brad, 14?
Yep.
And then there's the bullet on the top of page 5 that talks about your redesign and the reduction, reducing the total amount of formalized parking spaces to 118 parking spaces, 40 of which are now identified as overflow spaces.
And those are the valets, we think.
Do you want us to change it to valet?
Yeah.
Yeah. We could-
So you wanna say 40 being identified as overflow lawn spaces used for valet parking?
Perfect. Yep. Okay, Brad?
Yes.
Okay, and then we get into the top of page 5, the whereas clause, which talks about those different sized parking spaces. So you have standard parking spaces which are measured as 9 by 18. You have 27 parking spaces measured at 9 by 16. And you have 7 parking spaces measured at 9 by 16.3.
And these are all spots that the public would be parking in, not valet theoretically.
I don't know.
So what was the
Do
question?
you guys know that?
The smaller spots are all valet.
So we know the ones that are on
Those are
the
the more
grass
narrow ones.
overflow
Those
are
are
valet.
those are the 7 by 20 spaces.
Gotcha. So the ones that are not 18 feet long, the 16 or
Gravel,
16 for
Right next
threes,
to it.
are those also where the general public parks, or are those also just staff and that's general public too, right?
It's general park, it's a mix, general public and
And that's
staff.
the gravel park.
That's the gravel area.
Gotcha.
below, yes.
Correct me, is there the spots in the front off to the north side, some of those are 16s, right?
I think on the in-room, there's one bay of 16s, but you can pull in and beyond.
There's overhang, there's overhang.
Are the 16s backing up into a typical 24-foot drive aisle, so they have that extra space, or? Because we know the 16, 20, you know, the extra space is for maneuvering, right?
Yep.
When you make them 18, do they still have the 24, so when they back out, they can maneuver?
Yes.
I had a question though, we don't mention in here, don't we have to mention the designated ADA parking areas? And we should enumerate how, you know, where they are and what the numbers are and the space and the sizes.
They are indicated on the plan, and there's
Right.
5 of them, but I
So we
don't
need
know
to put
about
that in the resolution.
the resolution.
It's included in
Is it?
one of the numbers.
It's part of the
overall
118.
number,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think that we, based on whatever the size is and the operation is, there's a number that converts to what the requirement is for ADA parking.
Correct.
Right, I mean, I don't know what the equation is.
It's usually it's a percentage of the total spots.
Right, so again, we should just earmark those, I think, and designate those, and just not where they are, you've got them on the site plan, but we have to indicate how many there have to
So
be.
how many are there?
5.
Okay, so then I'm gonna change this, whereas the applicant is proposing 124 standard parking. What?
119
118,
or 118.
yeah, 118,
Then these numbers don't make sense.
it's 113, and then
Yeah.
588, which equals that 118.
Let's stop a second. You have you have a requirement for 158 park. We're not talking constructed versus non-constructed. You have 158 parking space requirement, right? You have 27 that are small, and you have another 7 that are a little bit larger than small, but not standard, right? So 27 and 7 is what?
34.
So 158 minus 34,
124.
so 124 standard spaces, 5 of which are ADA.
Correct.
Yes, that's what I'm writing here. The applicant is proposing 124 standard parking spaces, which measure 9 by 8 parking spaces.
I think that's not right.
You're off by 1 there.
I think the top is right. We have 118 regulars and 40 of the overflow.
Yes.
That's the 158.
Right, but there's 30, how many, 27?
34.
There's 34 parking spaces which are substandard sizes.
Which still count.
They still
The
count.
majority of those are in the 40, not the one. So the math, it depends on what you wanna take them out.
Gotcha.
So you have to look at where they're coming out of.
Are they
I don't think any of those substandard spots are, cause are there?
No, the 40 are 7 by 20 valet
I
spaces.
thought you were talking about, sorry.
The 118 is a mix of the 16-foot depth spaces and the ADA, the 5 ADA.
Alright, so, but what I wanna say, alright, so let's go back up to the top. On the other page, the proposed requires there will be 14, you get 14 parking spaces. The planning board requested redesign for 118 spaces. I'm gonna add another bullet there that talks about there are 5 ADA parking spaces. The site will include
But the 5 are in the 118.
Yes,
Okay. so-
5
including 588. Yep.
parking spaces which qualify as ADA.
And to clarify, the 5 ADA are not in addition to the 118 that are required.
Correct.
And I'm assuming they're all dimensionally
Yeah,
correct.
they're not dimensionally separate.
They're 8 feet wide.
Yeah, they may,
Yeah,
They're
they're
all
the
good.
van accessible 8 by 8.
Okay.
I don't think this planning board has jurisdiction to override ADA.
No,
Oh, we're not looking to.
okay. So that was a change. Then we have the sentence on line 12 of page 5, I think I'm on, where it gives the code reference per section 60-420 F3B1 that gives you your authority to reduce the depth of the parking spaces to not less than 60 feet, provided that the vehicles will not encroach upon sidewalks or other pedestrian areas. Is that true? Okay. And there's a note in here, whereas clause, which reflects the note on the parking plan that talks about private and holiday gatherings and the site capacity peaking at 250 patrons, and limiting normal restaurant use.
Do we cap that? Do we indicate what the number is that together?
You haven't previously, under previous renditions of this site plan. The question is there a cap to that?
You know, between the event and a reduced restaurant schedule, whatever that number is. I mean, it would be a great problem for you to have, but I don't know if you really have it or not. But it seems to me if we have this regulation here, that there should be some sort of cap on it, so
Well,
that,
You
you
mean
know,
a
the
cap on,
enforcement
What
folks,
do you mean by a cap?
well, whatever that number is, I mean, the cap should be the number of spaces that we have available.
Well, they're limited by the number of parking spaces they have available. I think that the cap, this phrase is in here because the kitchen could not serve
right,
the number of people within a party and have the restaurant open for the public.
And I think they said they don't have the restaurant open when they're doing big events because they
That's
can't
nice.
do it
They
all.
can't handle
Yeah,
it.
they
That's
can't
fine,
handle.
that's,
And that's how we were able to work to get the parking
The 118.
to a manageable number. I
Yeah.
think that was
Right, but
the
but as it says, just as limited.
So you want more absolute?
Well, I think that's what Bob was saying,
Yeah.
is limited, like
that shall
down
be the
to,
case.
you know.
Yeah, at some point, I don't know what the numbers are, if it's a,
Right.
it's a party of 50, it shouldn't be closing down the restaurant, they don't have to close the restaurant. But if you really get a substantial party,
So like if there's a 250 person party, the restaurant should be shut down.
exactly,
It
because
should be, it
to
should be,
Dick's point, I think what Dick was gonna say was, not so much in terms of the parking, we'll be back out on the side streets and for that kind of capacity, so I guess that would be the issue. And I would like to be as lenient as possible with a number that's, that you guys can work with. It's not to be punitive, it's just to avoid a situation where you have spillover, off-site spillover.
I'm still trying to figure out what you're trying to cap, cause
So
we're already capped at parking, we can't. It's not like we're gonna invent new parking spaces.
Well, this phrase right now, it says during such events, the normal restaurant operations will be limited. What does limited mean?
I mean,
I'll give you an example. There's
Can you
a,
speak into the microphone?
Sorry.
You can hand it to him if you want.
I have no problem with the concept and I agree with the concept. The problem the reason I think the word limited is important, if we have an event at night and there's 250 people, we probably would have almost limited or no lunch. I'm just giving an example. I don't know what would happen. So I'm concerned about the time differences as much as the peak. We can't handle more than 250 at one time. So I'm not worried about that. But I don't know how to deal with what if there's an event at lunch and we have 300 people at the Kiddo House on a Saturday. So if we wanna really get into the wordsmithing of it, I wanna be careful that we don't do something that limits the whole day that may be.
Right. Good point.
Oh, cause
Two
it's about
events.
a time, it's about time.
Yeah, I'm worried about time,
It's at
not
any
about the
one
number.
time.
Exactly. So functionally, we can't do it. The kitchen is the kitchen. Forget about parking spots, it's the kitchen capacity. So I have no problem with the 250, we talked about that last time, 0. I just wanna be careful we don't do something that has a knock-on effect. Like
Let
for
me
instance,
ask you, what if you just take out the last sentence? So you peaked at
250 people. And
during
forget
a
about the-
particular,
during such event, so 250 people are in there.
yeah, that's fine, because,
Good idea, yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna, yeah, that's fine,
And if they're not there anymore, then you're fine.
that's totally fine.
I mean, you could have two events for 250 on the same day.
No,
Lunch
and
then
sometimes you
Does
have like
that
a bridal
meet with
shower
your
in the morning
fire
and
code
something at night,
requirement?
so.
Is 250?
250. Is the question 250 per hour, per day,
Yeah,
per,
that's what we're saying.
Any given time.
Yeah.
Anytime.
At any
So-
time, 250.
That's right.
right, our downstairs can only hold 180 to 200.
And you've got all the people who work there and
Are you talking staff included in that
Yeah.
number?
I don't know, are we? It's your note.
I think,
Patrons,
I
it
think,
says, so I
Your
think it's
note, I
guests.
don't know.
I think what you're concerned about is on-street parking, and we can certainly put in there that, patrons will not be parking on the streets. It's all on site.
I like your suggestion. I think that's the right way, cause then it gives you flexibility throughout the day.
The attorney's winning again.
If this says the site capacity peaks at approximately 250 people,
Period.
so,
Patrons.
period.
So you get 250
The
at lunch
site.
and 250 at dinner.
At one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's a peak. It's a-
And sandwiches.
Let's just leave it as peak, we will cross out
Take
that
out the
last
last
part of that sentence.
Oh, okay.
We got Jeff on TV.
Yeah, we spoke, and Jeff is on the TV.
That's fine, cause that's functional.
Okay, moving on. Then there's a whereas that there is proposed that the 40 usable lawn overflow parking spaces measure 7 feet wide. Each will be used by the valet for overflow parking as necessary. And then there's a whereas all scheduled deliveries to occur during normal business hours as follows. Then there's specific timeframes in here for deliveries, and these are all notes on the site plan.
Just a are deliveries at 10:30 at night are realistic? Do you guys
Friday
get
through
deliveries
Saturday?
at 10:30 at night? Okay.
It's the second bullet.
That's good catch, that's
It's Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 9:30 p.m. Friday through Saturday, 12 to 10:30 p.m. and Sunday, 11:30 to 9 p.m.
Okay, we really don't get evening deliveries, but the one note is on the bread delivery at the next, it's 7:30 AM, not PM.
Yeah, that I thought so.
But then Chris,
But if
how
we
do you wanna
change-
modify the
If we change it 10:30 to 9:30 to be consistent with bullet one.
Oh, you know what, this is business hours.
This is business.
It says all scheduled deliveries are to occur during normal business hours. This is reflective of your business hours.
Yes, but in all honesty, it's mostly 9 to 5 deliveries, but
Yeah.
you never know, I guess.
Right, what if somebody gets caught with flat tire and doesn't get there till 9:30?
There we go.
Well, that's a good point, the bread does get there super early.
At 7:30, yeah.
It's dropped at the front door.
Yeah. But I think Greg's point is a valid one, a good one. This is not talking about business hours, it's talking about delivery hours. So there could be hours of operation, but this is food deliveries, and I think it starts to become a nuisance to neighbors having trucks coming in at 9:30 or 10:30 at night, making deliveries.
It doesn't happen.
So can we limit it to 5?
We don't have any delivery that late. Call it 6:30.
I wouldn't think so, I mean.
So we're gonna change the whereas clause, whereas all scheduled deliveries are to occur during the following hours. Because right now it says during normal business hours.
Right.
So to occur during the following,
Business hours.
following hours as follows, so.
I think we would ask respectfully for maybe for 6:30 or so, is from our chef back there, only because sometimes things
12 to 6:30, 12
you
p.m.
realize you're short or something or whatever, just to have an opportunity to bring it in.
Does that work?
But also,
7 a.m.
6:30 p.m.
yeah, but why, also are you limiting yourselves to noon time, don't they come
No,
in
no, it should be
before
early,
that?
yeah,
No, he
much
said 7
7
AM to
a.m.
6:30. That's the chef, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's the guy who's gonna know.
7 AM to 6:30 PM, okay, makes sense.
Thank you, Deb.
7 AM to 6:30 PM. And then that's Tuesday through, is that Monday through, is that all week?
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday,
Deliveries on Sunday.
Monday through
And
Saturday.
you said no delivery Sunday?
On Sunday.
Not at all, do you wanna have an escape clause in case?
You don't mean like Amazon, do you?
Sure, but we don't,
No, no.
none of our purveyors work on, deliver on Sunday.
I wouldn't think so, yeah, okay, alright. So we'll take Sunday out. 7 AM to 6:30.
So Monday through Saturday, 7 AM to 6:30 PM.
Food deliveries. Yes, food.
All scheduled food deliveries.
Food or beverage, all food.
Food and beverage.
F&B.
Supplies,
Beverage. Supplies,
yes, linens
all food and beverage supplies.
And supplies.
and supplies.
All food and
food, beverage and supply.
Thank you. All
Sorry.
food, beverage, and supply deliveries are to occur during I'm just gonna say from Monday through Saturday, 7 AM to 6:30 PM.
Perfect.
Alright, let me fix this. All scheduled food
I should strike the next line. I guess this whole one can go away.
Yeah.
Because it talks in red.
Yeah, we don't need the whole next whereas because we've slaughtered the food and bread.
And wine.
Our clause.
Don't forget the wine.
We're gonna delete this next whereas clause.
Yeah.
Perfect, we're hacking this up, we might get down to 4 pages. Alright, whereas all refuse and recycling pickup, listen very carefully, people. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 9 AM and 12 PM based on observed waste creation schedule. Is that correct?
Jackson?
That is the current schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So please keep in mind, we're making changes to the resolution, these notes will need to be changed on the plans. We'll have to add that as a condition. The planning board will retain jurisdiction over all exterior and interior illumination for the building, site, signs and landscaping and
Sabrina, excuse us 1 second.
in the event that the refuse changes their dates, can we just make it Monday through Friday instead of Monday? That's what we currently have is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but can we just write Monday through Friday?
Well, we
It's not
we have-
dependent upon us, it's waste management.
Exactly, and I think the key on that is just the number of times a week. So it's
I would
just
just say 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
At least 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Will occur at least 3 times a week.
Thank you.
Sabrina, we don't, and the next one about the illumination, we don't really do interior illumination of the building, just exterior, don't we?
In this site plan, you did previously.
Oh, really?
Yes, you did. These are all notes from your
Maybe
previous
because the greenhouse threw off a lot of light, and that could be why.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really all that appropriate.
Do you want interior illumination in here?
I don't think we should be
Over all
doing that.
exterior illumination for the building, site, signs and landscaping, and over noise from air conditioning, ventilating and mechanical equipment or other sources. Okay? And then this is a whereas clause, there is to be no light spillage of exterior lighting near or off the property line. The lighting shall be limited to the immediate surroundings and shall include lighting at levels to allow for safe access to parked cars. And whereas the hours of exterior illumination, except for patrol and protection illumination, shall be limited to no later than 1 hour after the close of business. And whereas this is where your interior lighting is, do you care about that, or do we wanna strike that? Interior lighting will be permitted after closing, but the number and intensity shall be restricted to the minimum level necessary
We
for.
strike it, I don't,
Okay. Whereas both interior and exterior lighting shall be regulated by the Newcastle, we'll just put exterior lighting. Whereas no rubbish, garbage or other waste material shall be stored outside of the designated screened dumpster area. And whereas a maximum of 1 tent shall be permitted to be erected on the site at a given time and shall not exceed 40-50 in length by 30 feet in width in accordance with the approval of the town building department in compliance with the Uniform Fire Code.
Is there a length of time that the tent can be up, or can it be up 365?
No, it can't be up 365.
in the
There's
past,
6 months, right? Is
Yes, there's a time threshold
in
on
the
it.
past, I mean, I don't know if you could be doing tents, but in the past, I remember listening to individual tent permits for.
The last tent was up 4 years.
Right, it was up 4 years?
That was a violation in today's tent.
Today tent laws.
Not saying.
It was covering the septic, it's okay.
We did not know that. We did not know that.
No,
But we used to do those, those
I know.
permits would come before us,
Yeah.
and I don't recall the time frame, but the applicant would tell us what they needed, it was for a particular wedding or something like
yeah,
that.
it's just for a couple, I mean, we're fine with whatever the.
You don't want a year-long tent, trust me.
Right.
Yeah,
Now that we know, we're gonna watch you, okay?
I think it
Right,
was 6
right.
months on a prior one. What was it, that was the bubbles, tennis bubbles.
Oh, yeah, that's
They could be only be up for
that's very
6
different,
months,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, they used to be limited
I
to
think
the
we
applicants,
do, we do
10
have
days
10
and that kind
our
of
10
stuff.
we have a 10 permit requirement.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
So
so that permit must limit the amount of time.
This was probably done prior to having the 10 permit.
could be,
I believe it was.
so I don't know if we really need
Do
it
you
at
wanna get
all.
rid of it?
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Alright, we're deleting it. So
You're right,
line
we're gonna
58
get down to
through
4 pages.
2 on page 6 is gone.
Lighting within the tent, oh, then we could probably strike the thing about lighting within the tent?
Yep.
You're striking that because there is provisions in the building code, right? You're not saying we can't have a tent.
no,
No, we're not saying that at all.
We're saying we have other regulations
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
apply,
I
well,
got
we got you either way.
Yeah,
We're just loosening the strings
Sure,
a little
sure.
bit.
It's actually more permanent fees that way, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, again, we're gonna get this down to 5 pages. Whereas the area identified as Amy's Garden will contain a formalized open pergola not to exceed 60 feet in length and 30 feet in width, and said area shall be intended for restaurant use, cocktail hours, and light dining. And whereas the planning board determined the application is a type 2 action that requires no further processing under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Do we want to, in that area, I think you're gonna have those fire pits? You're using gas, I hope, not wood?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to limit it to gas. That's one of my pet peeves when people have those smoking things and it just impacts folks.
No
So
problem.
if we put a fire pit in there, I think we should, say you could use for fire pits for gas only, natural gas.
Do you want me to do another whereas clause?
I think you just put it in there, for restaurant use, cocktail hours, light dining and use of fire pit, gas fire pit.
I don't want it.
So, one thing on the Amy's Garden, you were limiting what was happening there. Sometimes very small ceremonies, wedding ceremonies happen there. I just don't wanna exclude that.
I think restaurant use picks that
Yeah.
up, frankly.
Okay,
We can say restaurant use, cocktail hours, light dining and other small events.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, to a question you had earlier, the pergola may be closed at times, so it says formalized open pergola, similar concept, that doesn't preclude what you had mentioned earlier about it's covered.
Yeah, you said about the louvers that are built in that
Right.
it can close the top, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, sure.
Sometimes they have like solar shades that kind of, come up and down on
Sure.
the sides.
You may, I imagine at some point you're even gonna probably come up and put sides on them, so you can
It just
use
says
it in November.
open, just says open.
Formalized pergola not to exceed blah 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 shall be
Only gas.
only gas.
No, don't say that because then you can't use propane,
Only
right?
pro-
That would be a short ceremony.
Propane or natural gas, natural gas is on sites, so.
Hang on.
Gasoline.
Alright, where is the planning board determined, we already did that. The planning board discussed your site plan application and list of meetings, including tonight. We had the public hearing was held tonight. Was held set up on Tuesday, this is where we need to do the public support.
Oh, the closing of the public hearing.
At which times all those wishing to be heard were given opportunity to be heard, and whereas the subject application received an overwhelming amount of support. From the surrounding neighborhood.
Citizens of Earth. Usually covers everything.
But it's just people in the neighborhood. And, okay,
Sabrina, it's also mentioned in lines 45 to 47 that the planning board considered all written comments, so you could either have it separate or fold it in there, just mentioning it.
oh, I could, alright, let me take it out. Alright, who motioned it? We can add those in. And then we have the criteria for approving a steep slope permit. And on line 52, the planning board has carefully considered all of the comments raised by the public, including those for the planning board and those submitted separately in writing to the board.
Comma, which were
Yep,
overwhelmingly positive.
which were overwhelmingly positive. And whereas the bottom of page 6, line 56, that whereas clause talks about its circulation to the fire department, the police department, and the volunteer ambulance, as well as Westchester County. And then the standard statement that it is in all of your resolutions that says you cannot change zoning by this resolution or assure the granting of a building permit. And then you resolve, this is where we talk about, again, the parking reduction to 108 from 158 parking spots for a total of 118 parking spaces and 40 overflow lawn parking spaces. And then we have resolved,
Again, just stick in overflow valet, you can put slash valet. So again, we're looking. And wherever we have overflow, if we could just
we'll do that,
Yeah.
can you make note of that?
slash or hyphen valet,
We'll slash it.
okay.
And then we get into conditions.
We're gonna go through all
Mr.
50.
Mayor, there might be a typo on line 11, the word linen.
It's
that's correct.
it's a term of
Where?
art,
It's an old term.
so.
On line 11?
I stand corrected, counselor.
Tone of art
Linen.
terms.
It is linen, they used to be of linen material.
I'm just used to some tablecloth thing.
Yeah.
It is
He's thinking he's getting a
tablecloth,
delivery,
absolutely, or a
Sabrina.
napkin,
It
absolutely.
was vellum, right? Wasn't that originally what they used?
These resolutions for the past, at least as long as I've been here, have said linen.
No, I'm saying, but the linen was originally vellum? Is that
I
where
think
the?
vellum
was
came
mylar.
after.
Linen predated vellum.
Oh, the linen
The
predated
linen
vellum.
predated vellum.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
Oh, is that what it was? Linen, vellum, mylar.
The
Landscape.
architect would know.
Gonna use that in my.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over the standard conditions,
Right.
like 1 through 12.
Sabrina, the only,
Let's start
number 5, I believe that should be August 4th, 2026.
Yep.
Otherwise, good to skip.
Yep.
Linen.
Is that the latest stormwater manual for 2016, Jeff?
No, 2024.
Erosion control manual,
Okay.
it's 2016. Stormwater is 2024.
Where's that
So
reference?
that's on line 58 on page 7.
This is 2001.
It's the New York State Stormwater Design Manual dated 2016.
The 2016 should be behind the blue book and the stormwater manual should say 2024. So this should be 2024.
This? It's not what Miguel said today.
No, this erosion control blue book, this one is 2016.
Okay. Okay. I think we should do conditions required to be satisfied prior to signing of the final site plan, site development.
Yep.
Alright, we're gonna add a new 13 in here, to talk
Can
about,
we just go back onto 12? Is 12D correct?
we're gonna do a new 12, cause
Oh.
we have to capture the
Okay.
changes in the notes. That all, all changes,
Oh, new 12 before the conditions
Yep.
required, okay.
changes to the notes made at the June 3rd, 2025 planning board meeting. As incorporated into the whereas clauses. Into this resolution. Must be reflected in the plan set. Reflected in the plan set and on the site plan. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When we change the plan set, we'll put revision bubbles on what we changed based on this meeting, but do you want that in the site plan as well, revision bubbles, or just a clean,
We're gonna need a clean site plan for
Site plan should
signature.
be clean.
clean, okay, the one you sign is gonna be clean,
Correct. But if you wanna hand us a bubbled one to say this is the changes we've made
Sure, sure,
and
you
here's
could
the clean
check,
one.
yeah, okay.
Okay, revision of the 12, comment 12, revision of the site development plan drawings in acceptable form to the town engineer to be submitted to this planning board secretary to reflect the following. And then we have A through F, coverage calculation plan has to be amended to include measurements of each area of the building and demarcate the addition of the 393 square feet of building coverage. The coverage calculations plan should be amended to indicate that there is a 23.1% increase in development coverage. The parking calculations plan should be amended to note that a total of 158 parking spaces will be needed in accordance with the town code. The proposed parking plan shall include a breakdown of all standard and non-standard parking spaces, which shall be represented on the plan and within the parking plan schedule. All
So
and
my-
ADA spaces need to be earmarked as well. So
Or
again,
just say
ADA or
including ADA,
non-standard.
required ADA space.
fine.
My question on that one, if you take 124, 27, and 7 and add it up, you get 158. So where are the 40 valet spots?
ADA.
This is what I was trying to say, I don't think these numbers are right.
I don't think that's.
Okay,
We have to.
we're all on the same page.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's what I had asked.
Well, the
Well, these are
valet-
about, we didn't put,
Well, if you add up 124, 27, and 7, you get 158.
yes,
But the 158 includes the 40 overflow, doesn't it?
yes, it does.
Okay, so then this is saying there's 198 spots on site.
No, this is the total parking. Separate the 40 overflow because the overflow parking spaces have a size dimension. And they're included here.
They're not, the 7-foot wide ones aren't included in that paragraph.
That's
on the-
So that 124 then needs
is
to be
wrong.
reduced
No, 124 is
by 40.
84, I think.
Yeah, 124 is not 184. 124 needs
It's
to be
just
reduced.
84.
It's 84, 84 standard.
It's 84 standard.
Yes,
And then the 40 7-footers have to be listed in D.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, so you have 84, 27,
7 and
7,
40.
and 40.
That gets us to 158, right?
Right.
Got it. Okay.
40, what are they? What's the
Overflow
size of
valet.
them? 7 by 16?
7 by 20.
47 by 20
Now we got it all one count.
overflow valet / valet.
As long as it's higher than development.
And the 5 ADA or 8 by 8, but that's included in that
84.
the 84 number.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's at 84 including 5 ADA.
Yeah.
Yeah, including 5 ADA.
Okay, we got it now.
We have to change the paragraph above.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do that now or we'll just do that later?
Do it now.
Going back up.
C.
What's wrong with C? I think C's okay.
158 is required and they satisfied it
Yeah.
with that delineation that we just went through on D.
I think just D gets tweaked.
What was the size of the overflow?
7 by 20.
7?
Oh, wait, the valets?
Yes.
By
7 by 20.
7 by 20. Or the grass overflow.
Right.
This is long.
Do I have BT?
Are 7 by 20 or 7 by 18?
Alrighty.
20 would be long.
Yeah.
The 1997 plan note stated 7 by 20.
And we'll stick with
so
that.
I just continued that.
Okay, fine.
That makes it nice and
Awesome.
long. Lots of maneuverable space, go back and forth.
for those big cars. Okay, moving on, hang on.
This is why the viewership of the ZBA is far greater than our viewership.
Okay, all notes located on the plan titled coverage calculation should be incorporated into the site plan to be signed by the planning board chairman. Revise the erosion and sediment control plan to reflect that the stabilized construction entrance extends to the edge of pavement. So then we have the addition of the following notes to the final construction plans. Prior to commencement of any site work, the applicant shall stake the locations of all proposed site improvements, demarcate site ingress and access routes, and shall flag the trees to be removed for inspection and improved by the town's environmental coordinator. Prior to the start of construction and throughout the construction period, the 100-foot wetlands buffer shall be surveyed, located, and clearly delineated in the field with snow fence or an alternative demarcation acceptable to the town environmental coordinator, and no encroachment beyond these limits by workers or machinery shall be permitted. Top of page 9, at the completion of installations, planting and implementation of all trees and shrubs and landscaping in accordance with the approved plans shall be certified by a New York state licensed registered landscape architect as being in compliance with the approved plan set. We're gonna have to back up here a minute. Conditions required to be satisfied prior to chairman signing. These conditions are not conditions prior to signing. Correct?
Where are you?
14AB,
But these are the plans that are going on the site plan that he's gonna sign.
oh, these are the notes?
Yeah, it's
Oh, the
notes.
following notes,
Yeah.
sorry, losing myself. All landscaping shown on the landscape plan shall be maintained in vigorous growing condition. And then a requirement that the applicant is required to submit a revised proposed tree removal plan with an updated tree replacement calculation. And it goes on through and talks about the mathematical procedure and breakdown included in Dennis's memo, can be used as a guide.
Dennis, is this where we put the maintenance requirement in? I think you had a 5-year maintenance requirement. We recommended that in your note.
That's down later.
Is it later?
So
It's
yeah,
later.
those are,
This is
These are
not a
notes.
note.
Okay.
This is, you need them to submit this prior to signing, Dennis?
yeah, that needs to be part of the
Okay.
plan set, it wasn't part of the submission, so.
Okay, on the erosion and sediment control plan, you need to provide the location of the stabilized construction access path to be used to perform all proposed work within the property, including any pipe trenching. Provide a SWIP, which includes an operation and maintenance plan. And then the 17, the SWIP shall provide and or include the following, and there's a list of requirements as identified by Jeff, A through Q, which need to be included in that SWIP. Provide,
Are these, Jeff, all of your requirements that you saw in your memo, the 80 different things, 40 different things, whatever it
Yeah,
was?
it's reformulated to fit a resolution, but yes.
Perfect, thank you.
provide information concerning the boring deep hole testing and results. On the erosion and sediment control plan, demarcate the areas to receive erosion sediment control blankets. On the construction detail plan, the level spreaders should not be concrete, but should be grass lined with erosion control fabric in accordance with the Blue Book. Verify, coordinate finished grade levels in the schedule of inverts on the construction detail plan and coordinate this with the grading plan. Verify the spacing between guide rail posts, both diameter and wood treatment on the construction detail plan. In the plan set, provide a grass paved parking lot section detail. In the plan set, add a detail indicating the method of installation for erosion control fabric, slope stabilization, and make them biodegradable. In the plan set, include a retaining wall detail, including factors of safety. Good comments?
Yeah, sorry, the grass pave, 23, is that just a detail or a full
It's a
section
detail.
through, okay.
Well, what do you mean?
Yeah, section detail showing how it's gonna be installed.
But not like a site section of that.
Not the
cross
entire,
section.
just one set.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
The plan set shall include traffic information regarding directional arrows, stop signs, stop bar, ADA accessible parking, including signage, etc. So that should be added to the plan. Recommend revising the photometric plan to achieve minimum lighting and parking and pathways as per the IAW IES of North America.
Just one clarification on the traffic circulation. I don't think we're anticipating putting like painted arrows on the pavement.
No, but you need to identify it.
But we can certainly do it with signage, but not,
Correct,
it
that's
just
fine.
wouldn't fit in
The
the,
aesthetic.
yeah.
And then we enter conditions required to be satisfied prior to the issuance of a building permit. So it's after the chairman signs the site plan, submission of written evidence acceptable to town council, the filing of the following documents in the county clerk's office. A stormwater maintenance and inspection and easement agreement regarding the proposed stormwater management improvements.
Regarding the header for here,
I
is this for a
fixed it.
building permit for exterior improvements? I don't wanna preclude the interior building permit because that's time sensitive. Well, everything's time sensitive, but that's even more so.
Can we do that?
Are they all under one building permit?
No. You'll set their separate.
It would be any building permit that's conditioned upon the site
The
plan
site
approval.
approval.
This doesn't
Right.
govern the interior work.
Just one,
If the interior work is not part of the site plan approval, then it's not waiting on the site plan approval, and it's not subject to the site plan approval.
We've already spoke to Tom about this and he's fine with, letting us start on the inside, understanding that we're trying to get prior conditions done. He's not gonna allow us to start the addition until everything's met.
Good clarification.
Either way.
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
Not
Seen it
for
happen
tonight.
before.
Yeah.
The limits of disturbance shall be clearly demarcated in the field through the installation of snow fencing or other demarcation acceptable by Jeff around the entire proposed construction area. Except as necessary to provide mitigation plantings, no encroachment beyond these limits by workers or machinery shall be permitted. The applicant shall submit a pre-cut inspection indicating field marked trees for removal, and all tree protection measures shall be installed to the satisfaction of the town environmental coordinator prior to any tree removals being initiated. The tree protection measures shall be inspected and verified by Dennis and shall be maintained throughout construction until the issuance of a CLO. The applicant shall field stake the entire limits of the 100-foot wetlands buffer as per the approved plans to Dennis's satisfaction as inspected by him. The field staking and stakeout map shall be prepared, signed and sealed by a licensed professional land surveyor for review and acceptance by the town engineer prior to staking. All tree protection measures shall be installed to the satisfaction of the town of Dennis, and tree protection measures shall be inspected and approved by Dennis and shall be maintained throughout the construction until the issuance of a CLO. Preparation and submission of a planting cost estimate for all proposed site tree shrub plantings for review and approval by Jeff in conjunction with Dennis. Submission of a performance bond or other security acceptable to the town board in a form acceptable by town council in the amount to be determined by the town engineer and acceptable to the environmental coordinator, following a review of cost estimate prepared by a New York State licensed professional engineer, which shall be submitted by the applicant and approved by the town board. to secure the proper installation of all tree and shrub plantings in accordance with the approved plans and conditions, limitations, and mitigation measures set forth herein. The applicant shall remit payment of all outstanding review fees in connection with the planning board review of this application. The applicant shall put in place protection for the existing paved swale located adjacent to Annandale Road for protection from sediment-laden runoff. This protection should be in place until the site is stabilized. You have to obtain a letter of no objection from the Westchester County Health Department regarding the elevation of the stormwater infiltrators to be installed higher in elevation above the OWTS and the placement of the proposed fire access road over 2 existing septic tanks. Include sheet C20, C700 and C701 from the architectural drawing set with the final engineering drawing set to be signed by the planning board chairman and the town engineer. Provide documentation indicating the existing septic tanks below the access road will support an H25 fire truck load. Show required maintenance of vegetation to achieve minimum ASHTO sightlines and stopping distance along Annandale and Kittle roads. Submission of a performance bond and maintenance bond or other security acceptable to the town board in a form acceptable to town council and the amount determined by the town engineer following a review of a cost estimate prepared by a professional engineer, which shall be submitted by the applicant and approved by the town board to secure proper installation of the stormwater management and erosion and sediment control facilities both during and after construction. Inspect and under maintenance, inspection, and repair of stormwater facilities prior to the issuance of an approval that has a stormwater management facility, the applicant must execute a formal stormwater maintenance agreement and access easement that shall be binding on all subsequent landowners served by the stormwater management facility. The stormwater maintenance agreement and access easement shall be in a form satisfactory to town council and shall be recorded in the office of the county clerk as a deed restriction on the property. It is recommended that the applicant provide the required stormwater maintenance agreement and access easement in accordance with the code. Submission of payment to the town of Newcastle for an inspection fee equal in an amount of 3% of the total cost of the aforementioned site-related improvements. And there's instruction on how to calculate that. And then there's a set of conditions required prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. At the sole cost and expense of the applicant, the installation and implementation of trees and shrubs shall be certified by a licensed registered landscape architect as following the approved plans and conditions to secure approval of and fully implement the final approved tree and shrub plans to the satisfaction of Dennis. Submission of a 10-year maintenance and monitoring plan for the trees and shrub installations that follow town protocols and is satisfactory to Dennis.
Can I just jump in here for a quick second? Just kind of curiosity, why 10 years on a site that's not really wetland or sensitive site? Typically it's, I thought 5 years, but we go to 10 and then
So for residential, that's correct. For commercial, that's the 5-year jump. Typically, if the planning board is so inclined to reduce that, that's up to them. But for me, following, sort of how it's done, it's 10 for commercial.
Do you wanna make that request, Brad, to the planning board?
It is a request only in light of the fact that it's not wetland
Can you
vegetation.
speak into the microphone?
Not gonna make or break anything, right, to be candid, but just given the fact that it's not a sensitive wetland site, I guess our request would be to reduce the 10-year plan to a 5-year plan.
Thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it's the 10-year is just to protect the town, to make sure the maintenance and everything is taken care of by the commercial entity versus the homeowner, right? I mean, personally, it's an establishment that's been there for a long time. It's an applicant that's shown good faith. I think they're doing a lot of stuff to make the building and the property better. I think it's benefits them to keep up the maintenance of the landscaping and stuff like that. I don't see it, whereas if it was some other tire distribution center, I could see them letting the maintenance go because they don't have people coming there to eat and have weddings, so I would be willing to go to 5.
Greg, I take offense to that comment about the distribution center, but,
Sorry,
yeah, I don't think I've ever had a 10-year bond even for the distribution center. I'm opposed to 5.
Jennifer, are you okay with 5?
We'll change that.
We'll change it to 5. But Dennis, the next one will make 15, okay?
Submission of a cost
These
estimate.
village will be back before you know it, guys.
But they you know, in all fairness, they were disrupting that site to a much greater extent.
Yes.
And it was a sensitive wetland, okay?
It's a lot of money.
Submission of a cost estimate for trees and shrub installations to include the cost of site preparation, plant materials, and labor to the satisfaction of of Jeff and Dennis. Submission of a 10-year maintenance guarantee for a period of 10 years following the C of O. 35% of the cost estimate for site preparation, plant materials, and labor to install the required tree, shrubs, and ground cover plantings. Wanna reduce that?
It's the same.
Not 5, right?
Yeah, can I just ask for a point of query, what do you guys, that's a big number, what do you guys accept for that? Like, how does it,
What's that?
in terms of the money, like, what is that, is that like opposed to US Treasury or something, how do I post 35% of a,
Bond or cash?
Letter of credit,
so can it be US Treasuries or something?
yeah.
Well, a bond is a bond to be issued as a percentage. It backs up the obligation. It would only cost you a percentage of what you're paying as long as you have the financial wherewithal to the
Right.
bonding company. If it's a big number, you're probably better off bond, you do what you want,
Yeah,
but you'd be better off getting a bond.
I just wanna make sure that, okay, I agree
Yeah,
with you,
the surety can be in a form that you want.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna go to 5 years.
But that would also track the 5-year
Correct.
maintenance.
I'm changing it, give me, you know, I wish I could put it up there, but as you saw, the computer's not cooperating. Um, 49 is submission of an as-built drawing and an engineering certification of construction compliance. 50 is submittal of an updated coverage calculation worksheet based on the as-built drawing. And then 51 is submittal of all records documents as recorded within the Westchester County Clerk's Office. And then you resolve. I do wanna go back because there is one condition at the beginning that is very important that I breezed over. It's condition number 4. Gentlemen, are you listening?
Go ahead.
The applicant shall ensure that the architectural plans align with the engineering plans with respect to parking, landscaping, and other site features, or in turn provide plan references so that the information is consistent. Okay, so you and you sit down, have coffee, and review your plans, okay?
Are you implying that they don't look?
They do not match right now,
Okay.
okay? So that's for you guys. That's it,
One more question, clarifying question?
sure.
Jeff, just condition 41, while we're on the topic of duration of maintenance plans and bonds. Is 41 meant to be both performance and maintenance? And if so, if it's maintenance, what's the duration?
This is on the stormwater.
This is one.
They're up.
Usually it's until it's built.
Microphone.
Right.
It's used for a period after it's built. That's
Maintenance,
what maintenance is all
would be
about.
5 to 10 year. Performance is just until.
But performance I get, but if it was maintenance, I just thought should we clarify now the duration? I'm not clear on what the duration is for stormwater.
10 years normal.
Why was that? I'm putting you on the spot, but I don't know.
Give them the microphone. I'm sorry. I'm here, I can yell at you all.
In most municipalities, a bond is not required for the ongoing maintenance. That's what the maintenance agreement is for, at least that's been our experience in other municipalities. 10 years does seem significant.
And the maintenance agreement ordinarily has a provision, the town has the right to come onto the property, inspect, and if we don't take care of the stormwater maintenance, the town has the right but not the obligation to do so. If the town spends any money in maintaining the stormwater, those costs are recoverable from the landowner and is a lien on the property until those costs are paid.
Right,
So
but
that's-
the maintenance bond takes care of that, so that the town doesn't have to do that and chase you, instead they just go directly to the bond.
I don't recall in the typical stormwater agreements that DEC requires that there's a bonding requirement.
Some towns are starting to do it, but you're correct, the DEC does not recommend it. It's the obligation to do it.
Right, the performance upfront, no
Of course.
question,
Right.
I'm just focused on the maintenance, and in fact, I just did one today,
Tarrytown.
in Tarrytown, and it wasn't in there.
Right.
So, I raise it, I mean, we can work it out,
Well, I think it's important to have, what the term is that we can, roll around with that.
because the maintenance obligation, to be clear, is in perpetuity, right? That the stormwater
Yeah.
agreement gets
Correct.
recorded, and that doesn't expire 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. That's in perpetuity, so to have a bond on the property forever, I think it's just what.
So then how about this? Here's an idea. Maybe the agreement should have some maintenance requirements and reporting requirements to the town so that we can be
Yep.
ensured that you're maintaining it.
Yep.
Because we now have the obligation to police you.
I think there are annual inspection.
There are.
Yeah, but they're,
Reporting.
What's the
right,
right
but
to
that,
No, but
There
then
are
we also have
requirements-
to have our own private inspection and provide that annual to the
Yes.
update
To us.
to the town, exactly.
yeah, to the town. Would that work?
I think that's fine, if the planning board wants to go that direction.
What have we done in the past? What have we done in terms of, I mean,
We
this is
lose
not the
track
first
of
time
these
we've had a
right now.
maintenance bond.
Right now, we lose track of them. We are having a heck of a time finding them right now and finding the responsible party.
I think a maintenance bond helps.
That's the point of having the money, right?
That's the point of having a bond, it helps track.
Yeah.
It does expire.
Well, if it does expire, it expires. And so if it expires in 5 years, 10 years, or if it goes in perpetuity, along with the, maybe the percentage is reduced, but maybe the maintenance bond is kept in perpetuity, I don't know.
I'm not sure if you can do a bond in perpetuity.
You have to
You
keep
can
renewing
do
it
it,
over
they
and
just
over
need
and
to
over
keep
again.
paying.
Yeah, paying over.
You know.
I've never seen that, I've never seen a bond like that forever in perpetuity.
I've seen the city DEP.
So
What's that?
The city DEP.
DEP?
why don't we leave it the way it is? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, if it's just like at the
Because
discretion,
honestly, what I would like to know is what are your maintenance requirements for your stormwater improvements, right? I mean, and if they need to be inspected annually, we need to receive copies of that annually.
Yeah.
What is the cost of maintaining your facilities? How can we guarantee we can maybe base a maintenance bond off of the cost of what it would cost to maintain it?
so look, it currently says in an amount to be determined by the town engineer, so I guess in theory the amount could be 0. So we could leave it and Jeff just work it out post approval and we could
We
go
need
back.
some guarantee that you're gonna maintain the stormwater.
Of course, yeah.
And we need some guarantee that you're gonna tell us about it,
Agreed
right?
on both.
Those are the two, those two components are the most important points of information. How we get that done, I leave to council
Right, that would
and-
be in the terms of the maintenance agreement.
Right, but we need something a little stronger than what we have now, because we've had these maintenance agreements and we're not getting it.
So let's look, it's us, we'll work it out with you guys post approval.
I think you should have, I think you should have a fee element in there, that will help you track it as well. Because I think, look, the town is incurring costs to get these reports, review the reports, et cetera. So I think some sort of minimal fee should be set up, and that's one of the ways of policing it.
Yeah.
Because again, we're doing more and more of these, and we're gonna be incurring more and more expenses. And as a taxpayer, I'm not real happy about it, that we're paying for that if
Yeah.
someone else is not paying for it.
But I think we need to really sit down and kind of have more discussion internally.
Yep.
So we can leave it as it is because it does leave the responsibility with Jeff to determine what that should be. And let's talk about it and determine what is best for the town moving forward to ensure that these facilities are maintained.
That's fine.
Okay.
So you're okay with,
We'll leave it, we'll discuss.
that's it.
Okay. So we have a resolution and a number of amendments. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution as amended? We will not read through all the amendments.
Which changes?
Right. Motion. I can review them if you want.
5 pages.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Jeff. All right, so we're all set, as far as we're concerned.
They did.
So we're done, good
Thank
luck.
you.
Get your stuff in and hope everything works out for you and as quickly as possible.
Come visit.
Thank you very much,
Yep.
including working on the timing, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sabrina.
You're welcome. No special meeting necessary.
No, it's all right.
So we have one last thing, then we have our minutes of May 20th.
Yes.
Any changes?
I had no changes.
I had a couple of very minor ones I'll just give to you.
Yep, I had nothing.
Jeff, any changes on the minutes?
I don't have any changes.
Do not have any.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes then of May 20?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there a motion to close the meeting?
Motion?
Second, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.